I'm here.
Oh. I
My bad. Give me 1 second.
Nah, it's okay. Just glad to hear your voice. Knowing that you're all right. I was starting to get worried for a second.
My bad.
Oh my God, dang. You was just here. Now I don't hear no activity.
My bad. All right. I had to go get myself together so that I could hold it down for the crew today. I had to, I had to go wake up a little bit, get myself together so we can hold it down. I
Thank
got you, Janessa.
you.
With Terry in your absence. Oh, baby.
I know. I probably my face probably all swollen.
No, I remember that. And mine was just on one side, so it was just swollen for like a week, just on one side.
Yeah.
Yep, I remember them days.
Hmm.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All righty.
All right.
Boom shakalaka.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Worst Ones podcast. This is the podcast where us PKs come together and talk about shit. I don't know what's the theme of our conversations, but Terry comes up with them and we talk about them. So, my name is Rudy Wilson. We have Kellie, Rowland. I mean,
You can combine them both.
I did that because I was getting ready to joke and say Kellie Rowland, but I was like, no, let me not play today, and I still accidentally said it anyway. Janessa Rowland, Kellie Lee. And shout out to Kellie Rowland, the singer. Man, so we are back from our depressing episode last week. It was all types of fucked up. We had to shoot it on Zoom. Everybody called COVID. It was Chris going. It was a rough one, but we made it. This is what podcasting is all about. You know, we showing up through sickness and in health, the death do us part. So we're here. Kellie, we'll start with you because it's pretty obvious how Janessa's doing.
I'm doing good. Can't complain. The Lord put a obstacle in my way today for me to figure out, I guess, how I was going to handle it. A social situation with some things like conflict and stuff. I kind of shied away from. And so I was proud of myself for kind of having that good balance of like speaking up for myself, but not being disrespectful, but saying what's on my mind.
Can you talk about it or no?
Oh, sure. I've worked out with a trainer for since July. I'm sure I've talked about it. And we've just had, as social media says now, a toxic relationship. And
the whole time?
Pretty much the whole time. Our spirits just don't align.
Male, female?
It's a woman. It's a female. And our spirits just don't align. And I get along with mostly everybody. Because one, I don't like conflict. So I avoid conflict most of the time. And so I just kind of go along. And so, but we'll like go back and forth and we'll argue and just, and it was just been bad. But I didn't want to stop because I was consistent with the weight loss and going until I found something new. So I found something new. And so I told you I was leaving.
Sorry to cut you off. Just a real quick question. Is the conflict happening like during the workout or even if y'all text offline? Is it always a thing or?
So it's during the workout. Like I don't like the way she speaks to me sometimes. And so I'll say, I'll say something. Or she'll like reschedule a lot or cancel a lot. And that's kind of what happened today is that I only have one more session with her. I was quitting her, stopping her and moving to another
trainer.
Yeah, well, another situation, gym situation. Okay, gotcha. And I've been trying to finish. I wanted to finish before the new year, new year, new me, new gym, whatever. But she just reschedules over and over and over and over again. And so today was supposed to be our last session. I text her 45 minutes before, like, hey, we still on. We're going to this place. She has read receipts. She read it, but didn't respond. So I go to the place as planned. Session's supposed to start at 5. At 4:45, she texts me like, oh, sorry, I got stuff going on in my life. I need to reschedule. She rescheduled the last time and the time before that, and so when I said something about it, like, hey, I'm always understanding, I'm always flexible, she wanted to go back and forth. Oh, I'm doing you a favor, blah, 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 blah. Like it was just a whole lot of stuff.
Is she doing you a favor just out of curiosity?
No.
Okay.
So I don't know how to make long story short. So she's not.
It's two of us are talking.
She said she's doing me a favor because when I had COVID, I didn't come. And so she's like, so I didn't have to give you those sessions back from when you had COVID. She was like, but I'm trying to be nice to you. And I'm like, no, that's not the situation, because we moved from a month to month where I paid every month to month, where then I paid for 12 sessions at a time. And I said, so when I didn't come for COVID, I didn't use those sessions. Right. And so I still had them. Right. Right. And so, but I was just so hot, and people know I'm cheap, like my father. Right. I'm cheap, and I'm gonna squeeze every penny out of everything. I need my value. But today I was so hot, like, forget it. I don't even want my last session. I don't want to do nothing. My friends were like, you don't want your last session? Like, Kellie, you're not gonna get all that you paid for? And I'm like, no, I don't want to do her. Like, I'm just hot, and they're like, I'm confused. Like I said, but I was just proud of myself because sometimes, and a lot of times, face to face, sometimes we would go back and forth in text messages when she would like reschedule or say something crazy. I would just say, okay, and a lot of times I feel like okay is an appropriate response. And then for me, sometimes okay is a cop out because I don't want to deal with the conflict. And today I was proud of myself for being able to deal with it. And then sometimes when I deal with it, I escalate, which is why we used to have arguments in the gym, because when I get in that space, I don't know how to contain it. So then I'm emotional. So I was proud of myself, and I felt like the Lord put that in my space because I don't argue with people. Like, I just don't. She just gets my spirit boiling. Gotcha. So I did go work out at my new gym. And then I text her, and told her how I felt, and then said, can we do my last session on Saturday? Because now I want my session back. She hasn't responded yet. I'll let y'all know next week if I get my session on Saturday. But yes,
this is happening live. This isn't even something resolved. Like, this is a problem.
No. I need an hour and a half to calm down. Because I was hot, and my friends knew I was hot when I wasn't gonna take my last session, because they know Kellie gonna squeeze every penny out of everything. Gotcha. I eat all my leftovers. I don't understand people who don't eat leftovers. I eat all my leftovers because I need every bit of that $15.99 that I spent on this meal. Gotcha. So that was my growth moment today, like I said. So I'm proud of myself for kind of dealing with it, handling it. Most times I would have just said okay and kept it moving. That's what I've done with her, and it's probably what she expects of me, because a lot of times when she's rescheduled a lot, I just say okay. And then I'm like, nah, you was wrong. Mm-hmm. And at least you could have done was 45 minutes ago when I text you, told me no, you're not meeting today.
To that point that you're making about the whole growth thing, because see, I'm at a level where I'm trying to grow to that next level of where you're at, because I don't mind dealing with conflict, but I would much rather deal with it through text message than over the phone.
Okay.
Now, what's crazy is and I guess maybe because it's more on the spot, but like, I can deal with conflict better in person than I can over the phone. And I think because in person, a lot of times it just happens. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So now you're just in it, and there is like over the phone call, you can be thinking about like, okay, what I'm gonna say, how I'm what I'm saying, as opposed to if you just engage or whatever the case may be. But that is my next step. Like, as far as text messages, I could have been texting somebody like, hey, man, you fucking up. You know what I'm saying? But to have that same conversation, to pick up the phone, and now you hearing this person's voice, and now there is no, like, because with a text message, you can say something the wrong way. You can literally say it the wrong way. They take it the wrong way that you intended, and then you can retract and mean, oh no, I didn't mean it like that.
Right.
When it comes through your voice,
right? You hit the body language, tone, inflection, all of it.
You can't take it back. But like, for me, and this is, I guess, a good and a bad thing. People will know how close they truly are to me, depending on how honest I am with you. Because if I'm at a point that I tell you everything that you absolutely don't want to hear, like when you come to me for advice, you already know I'm gonna point out why she wrong, but I'm gonna tell you why you wrong too. You know what I'm saying? My best friends know that about me. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes down to people who I don't know like that, or people who I don't feel like I have to deal with like that, I will give the okay. You know, okay, just for the sake of, because I don't want to deal with the confrontation.
Right.
I don't like confrontation, but if I am brutally honest with you, it's because I already know there's not going to be confrontation. Like, you're going to accept this from me because you know I'm saying this out of love. You know that regardless of what the inflection of my voice is or whatever, you already know we best friends. Like, I'm your nigga. Right. This ain't, you already know this ain't that. Like, I'm on your side, but you are wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
and and I'm working on trying to be more honest. Because I feel like sometimes, because I don't like conflicts, a lot of times I make things rainbow and sunshine, and I make it flowery and sound good, and you know, or whatever, where really I need to just say, you were, you know, like you said, you're wrong.
Right.
Like, you know, they were wrong. I understand where you're coming from. And I've been working on that in the last year or two. It's just really trying to be honest with people. Like, no, you know, you're wrong. You know, and even in my nice way, because well, that's a whole nother issue. But yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you this: Are you brutally honest with yourself?
Oh,
and I asked that before you can wait to answer, because I know, like, with me, that's something that I'm really stepping into. Like, it's because it's very easy for us to hold other people accountable, but to hold yourself accountable in a true way, even to just accept something about yourself. Like, I'm starting to just really embrace my flaws. Like, if I know I'm very scatterbrained, and it may not be a flaw. Let me just say something that's looked at as a flaw. I'm very scatterbrained, or like I said, trying to avoid the confrontation or whatever. Like, any of these things, or, you know, I need to take it up from the text message to the phone call. Any of these things, I try to put it away and say I'm doing good enough, because at least I'm responding in text.
Right. But
it hinders me from growth when I don't go ahead and admit, like, no, you being a bitch. You know what I'm saying? You being a bitch. You know, pick up the phone, make the phone call. Especially when you're dealing with business or something like that. Like, I just, you know, you shouldn't be texting business transactions. We shouldn't. I do it all the time, but it should, you know what I'm saying? It should be that next level. But I feel like we can't get to that next level if you can't at least, you can't be brutally honest with other people until you can at least be brutally honest with yourself.
That's real. That's real. And I think I'm working on it. Like you said, I'm trying to step into that space.
Right.
I think I am sensitive, and I have been sensitive all my life. Like, I remember in middle school, like, crying all of the time and being teased, and not necessarily bullied, but like being teased for like just being sensitive and crying. And so I feel like in life, a lot of people haven't been honest with me. Because they didn't want to deal with the emotions that were going to come from it. And so I feel like people, like I said, made it roses and butterflies, or kind of get, you know, said okay or whatever. So I honestly feel like for a long time, I wasn't honest with myself, and no one was really honest with me. And so I don't, you know, I know deep down I'm a genuinely nice person. I know that, you know, I'm a sweet person, you know, or whatever. But just in terms of like how I made other people feel, or if I did something wrong or whatever, no, I wasn't honest, and people weren't honest with me.
Right.
And so I'm stepping into that space now where I enjoy those moments where, you know, one of my friends say something, and I'm like, oh, that hurts, you know.
Right.
And it takes me a minute to process it. I'm getting better with it. Sometimes, depending on what it is, it takes me a minute to process. And then I'll come back and kind of, you know, be honest with myself. Like, Kellie, you do struggle with being on time. You know, you know. So when my friend said that, you know, you never think about, you talk about, you want people to be on time for your stuff, but you don't think about how you disrespect other people's time when you're not on time. And I was like, oh. So
it hurts, but you know,
like, but that's true, you know. And I'm like, that's true. And then through therapy, of course, you know that they kind of, it's a lot of self-reflection and analysis, and really having to dig deep. So, like I said, I think in the last probably couple of years, I've worked to be more honest with myself. Prior, I think I was just out here living probably on, you know. Yeah.
Right.
On real surface level, like just going through life,
Right. That's real. Just for people who are listening only audio, because y'all may not believe it's actually another person here besides me. Janessa, how are you doing?
I'm okay. My mouth hurts. I had tooth dental procedure, and my face is still swollen, so I'm not talking as much. But the only thing I wanted to say was that I made the honor roll. Okay, I just got the
today. Whoop whoop!
Somebody play shop.
I don't know how to.
I got the email today, and I was like, "What is the honor roll?" Like, they do
in grad school.
Okay, that hurt.
You get a little certificate. Can you take a picture? Yeah, get a little slice of pizza, a little reward ceremony.
I guess so, y'all. I was like, "Who does this in grad school?" So I took a screenshot and I sent it to my mom, and I said, "Mom, I made it."
Yes, congratulations! Yeah.
I don't know what the criteria is. I just know I have a 4.0. So if that's what it takes to get on the
I don't know what the criteria is, but I got a 4.0. Ma'am. Right. You 4.0.
I don't know what the criteria is for the honor roll and at grad school, but
listen, send me that so I can post it to the page. So I post it to the IG page.
4.0.
So I can post it to the IG page.
Yes.
Congrats.
That's all I got right now.
That's why the devil tried to shut you up with that tooth, but you gonna tell your testimony.
Okay, y'all gonna stop making me laugh today.
Come on.
I'm sorry.
Y'all gonna stop it. Stop it.
I love it. One more thing to celebrate Janessa. So Janessa won the dance off. The worst one dance off. Janessa was the winner by landslide. 92% of the voters voted
I was
for
probably the only
Janessa.
person voted for myself. That was
for Rudy.
I figured that was gonna happen, so I was like, I'm gonna at least hold myself down. I ain't gonna get 100-0.
Well, my own sister, she almost didn't vote for me either. I was like, what?
But you know what's funny? I was watching to see, who voted where and when they voted. Some people didn't vote. Some people who I thought should have voted didn't vote. And when you hear this, I'm talking to you. And then some people, it took a minute. Like I saw that they watched it and didn't vote, and then they watched it again later and then voted. So, but no, Janessa won. If you guys haven't seen it, go follow us at the Worst Ones PK. It's posted there. But go Janessa. Champion. Whoop whoop. We'll have a rematch in March.
No, it's not. No, it ain't no rematch. It's the sing off. You and Terry.
Right. So we're gonna do the sing off in February, and we'll do the dance off rematch.
Just don't say that. Is all I'm saying. I'll go sing.
He gonna want to sing something.
Huh?
Crazy. So he gonna want to sing something.
Well, what is the song? Y'all can sing two different songs. Y'all don't have to it ain't like dance like y'all got to dance to the same beat or whatever.
All right.
I just say y'all sing what y'all want to sing. I just want to hear both of y'all sing, especially Terry. This is gonna be.
I have a feeling though Terry can sing.
Right, Terry gonna win.
I mean,
I guess I'll be in the loser corner with you, Rudy.
I mean, I'm right. I mean, what is he gonna get?
A loser.
It's okay to lose. I'm doing fine.
How are you, Rudy?
I'm doing fine. I am in Jacksonville more consistently these days. I do have to make a trip to Miami on February 6th. We're shooting some interviews for. I told y'all about the show I shot in Miami, right? When I was going down there once a Saturday for like 5 weeks. No,
briefly, I can't remember.
Well, yeah. So the Spa is the name of the show, and this is season 2.
You definitely didn't tell me that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's the MMM stands for Maggie's Magical Massage. That's the girl's name, Maggie. So she created this whole show behind being a massage therapist.
Okay.
Her experiences with massage therapy or whatever, and so she did a season 1. I seen it on YouTube. I thought it was dope, so I was like, okay, boom, let's do a season 2. And so she said if I help her write it and direct it, whatever, we'll do it. And so that's what we did. So we're gonna do like the cast interviews, like to create more content around the show once it comes out, because it's 5 episodes, but we want to have like interviews to show the cast like how they felt when they was filming whatever
gotcha.
blah 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 blah. So I got to go to Miami for that, but for the most part the point I was making is I'm pretty much Jacksonville stationed, except when I gotta go to Tampa once a month. But so I'm in Jacksonville. I'm here.
All right.
Try to be funny and shit.
How's the comedy circuit going?
Still circuiting,
Still circuiting.
I'm still learning what they call the process. People always talk about, just enjoy the process or even trust the process, enjoy the journey. Like I'm currently on that, and I'm seeing I'm learning a lot about myself, because for one, like I'm by myself a lot, and especially in reference to, like, I'm not dating, I'm not married, I don't have kids.
Right.
And then even like my homeboy who I stay with, like, he got his own shit going on, so we don't be just sitting here in each other's face,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So everybody kind of got their own whatever. So it's I'm currently going through that, and it's not discouraging or anything at all. Don't make you want to quit it, but I'm just learning what that word process actually means. Like, when you see somebody successful and you hear them say that, you still can't grasp it because you already see them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
you see the manifestation of the journey, and not the journey, right?
And not the journey, and so it's like it's a little bit it's just a little different. So, but dope nonetheless. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely a journey I prefer to be on.
Okay, that's important.
Yeah, so
that's important. I love a good journey. I do. I think on my Instagram page, I think my little whatever it's called bio says "lover of the journey." I love a good journey, like you said, because people often see what you say.
I don't like the journey.
No, I do, because I feel like you need the journey. Like I said, often you see the end of someone and you miss the hustle that they had to grind, and all that they had to do before they got to the end.
Right.
You learn a lot about yourself and about other people and about business and whatever you're journeying through. Grad school, good journey. Didn't like that journey. I do agree. I didn't see the grad school journey. But I learned on the other side of it. I learned a lot. I needed it for multiple reasons. One, because it got me out of Atlanta. And I had to grow up a little bit, but so I needed it. But yeah, I enjoy a good journey.
Believe it or not, grad school for me, I guess, which was film school, that was actually the enjoyable part. So I hated school up until grad school.
Really?
That was the only time I actually enjoyed going to school, was when I was
really.
Yeah.
No.
Any other school from pre-K to undergrad, I hated every day. You hear me? I hated going to school. I remember you like looking out the window and seeing like cars drive by, and I just felt like they were free. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like I was a prisoner, like looking out the window and they were just free, just driving and riding.
But, and then you go to adulthood and realize you're not that free.
I would say
I'm definitely free. It's cost me a lot of funds to not have, you know what I'm saying? But I definitely am that car that's driving during the school day.
Okay,
that's free. And when I look at kids and teachers and stuff go to school, I thank God it's not me. go ahead, Janessa.
Not free.
No, I was just gonna say, Kellie, I take it back. I think some journeys are good and some journeys are tougher than others.
For sure.
I think before I graduated from tech, journeys, whether they were good or bad, I could care less. Like they were not my favorites. I think as an adult, though, I can process things better. So it's not the end of the world. I take things back.
And see, and you learn that about these journeys on those journeys when you were younger, that these journeys aren't the end of the world. And so you can push through a little further. You can work a little harder. You know that there's sunlight on the other side. You see the end of the tunnel. But you had to go through the prior journeys to get these present journeys and understand it. Now, grad school, that's just a necessary evil. But otherwise, but yeah, journey.
Well, speaking of journeys, this is a great segue to our topic today, because we're talking about a journey that a fellow PKer of ours had to take. But before we go to that, I just wanted to bless you. I wanted to congratulate, but it's probably going to low key add insult to injury as far as Janessa's tooth. But I did want to congratulate UGA on on winning the national championship. I know she's not too fond of that, but just for the representation of the state of Georgia, you know.
No, it was just it was another day, another Monday. Nothing happened.
I know this is probably a bad time to hear it with your mouth on. You know, I didn't want to.
Would you like to know a fun fact though?
What's that?
Georgia Tech still has more national championships in football than UGA.
I believe it. One of my coaches in college played for the 1990 team that won the championship.
And so before the high school won on Monday or whatever, everybody, when they would bring up these arguments, you know, everybody would always have so much to say about Tech. But not only did we have until Monday the most recent national championship, we still got more than y'all, and we still smarter than all y'all. So bye. Except for my mama, she's the smartest woman I know, and she went to that school, but that's all right.
She went to that school, high school,
right? That high school,
we go high school in the East. That's what
that high school.
Okay, so the journey, like I said, that's what I call the Sarah Jakes Roberts experience, and that's just because I just wanted to make it something, you know, quick and to the point. Is instead of saying, you know, hey, when Sarah Jakes Roberts was 14 and she got pregnant and she's T.D. Jakes' daughter and so on and so forth.
Can you give us that so we can?
No, I am, but I'm saying I didn't want to write that in the title. As far as what I'm saying,
gotcha.
That's why I just call it that. So,
gotcha.
So I'm just saying, because I want to be clear. It's like no disrespect. I'm not trying to generalize her experience. Her experience isn't the title of 14-year-olds who get pregnant who preachers' daughters. Okay, so if you fall in that category, don't be out here hashtagging the Sarah Jakes Roberts experience, because that's not a thing. That's the title of this particular episode.
She got to steal it and run with it, honey.
I don't mind her. I just don't want nobody else to blow it up the wrong way. And now she pissed at me.
Right.
You know
she could have the first one like
right. Now she the standard. Like, oh, you got to be. I wasn't saying. But so her experience. So she was 14, correct? Am I saying the correct age? Somebody fact check.
I don't have the facts.
Somebody just Google it real quick. Fact check.
Okay, keep going.
She was 12, 14, 16, 15, something in there. She was a young teen, and she became pregnant, and then eventually obviously became a mom. But she's not only
14.
You know, 14. Yeah, so she's not only a PK, but she was also T.D. Jakes' daughter, and and he's arguably top 2 most famous preachers ever. You know what I'm saying? Like especially across all, just say, genres of people. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some hugely famous, just say, white preachers or evangelists, whatever they were, that if you're in the Christian community and you're Black, you will definitely know about. But like people who didn't grow up in church and Black may not have ever heard them, but they definitely heard T.D. Jakes just because his name is, whatever. And on both sides. So she has that pressure is the point that I'm making. So and even though, I mean, Kellie, you got a low-key famous little family.
No.
But I don't think any of us can directly compare to her experience as far as the, just say, level of notoriety that our fathers have. But in whatever world that it exists for us, if you were in that situation, or maybe you weren't. If you were in real life, you don't want to disclose it. That's fine. You can speak hypothetically. But
I was not having sex.
If you were in that, and it doesn't have to be 14, it can be 16. It just
or at 16.
If you were a teen, if you got pregnant as a teenager, and and you're PK in this whole situation, and you were in her shoes, like I said, outside of the T.D. Jakes notoriety to that level, just put it at your own level of whatever your father is or was at that time. How would you have handled it? How would you feel? What would have been your reactions? How would you try to, go about the conversation, telling your father, et cetera, et cetera?
Ooh, we hunted at 34 and unmarried. 14, 34, and unmarried, and trying to tell my father, and worrying about what the church is going to say, is a big thing. Now that doesn't change because you get older. It's probably easier at 14 because, oh, you know, she's young, she made a mistake. Of course they were going to judge, but at some point, you know, she's 14, she's a child, you know. She got into something that she wasn't ready for. In my 30s, baby, you know what you're doing.
Hello.
You know what you're doing. You knew the consequences of your
did.
Exactly. You know what you did, right? You know the consequences of your actions, and you knew that if you wanted to engage in that type of activity, then there were some things that you could have done to prevent pregnancy. At 14, I may or may not have been exposed to all of that. Like I said, like I am at 34 and understanding. So honestly, I feel like it may have been easier at 14 than it is at 34. The only difference is at 34, I can take care of my own child, and at 14, I still very much would have needed my parents. But still difficult. I think still, like I said, for me, and we've talked about throughout the podcast, like how difficult it is for me to even separate myself from the scrutiny of the judgment of church folks. And so I think that at 14, I was, you know, we've talked about it, really heavy in the youth ministry. And, you know, because I was the youth pastor's daughter at the time, you know, definitely was on a pedestal, definitely heard, you know, mom say, man, I wish you would date my son, or I wish my daughter was more like you, or, you know, those type of things. So definitely would have been difficult. Definitely. I've also shared that I struggled with what's the word I'm looking for? Scarring, messing up, you know, the Lee name, you know, because in that community, you know, the Lee name means something. And
so little famous family now.
In that community, you know, it means something. And so definitely, like I said, at 14, at 24, at 34 now. Like I said, now through the help of the podcast, I'm growing, y'all. I'm growing out of worrying about so much what church people think. But definitely would have been difficult. I don't know how I would have had that conversation with my father at 14. I don't know how I had that conversation with my father at 34. You know, I think that he would definitely be disappointed. He definitely preaches, teaches not having sex before marriage. Is definitely one of his practices that he believes in. And so it would be difficult. I don't know, and I've said this when we talked about Sarah Jakes Roberts before, that I have her book and I want to read her book, because my assumption is that TD Jakes was supportive. Now, my father would definitely be supportive at the end of the day, and do whatever he needed to do to take care of me, to take care of my child. You know, definitely would not have slandered or disrespected me on the pulpit, would not have excommunicated me or kicked me out, or would not have done any of that at all. But disappointed, he would have been.
Do you think he would have scrutinized you privately, even though he wouldn't do it publicly?
No, my daddy's just not that guy. No, I think I would have been able to visibly kind of see the internal hurt. If he would he say it out loud? Probably not. Because he's a pastor, you know, they hear all sorts of stuff, you know, all the time, you know, and so I feel like pastors kind of have that ability to kind of be emotionless sometimes and not kind of give too much one way or the other. You know, and so I definitely feel like I would have felt the hurt from my dad. But no, I don't think he would have scrutinized me privately at all. I think he would have been supportive, but I would have fallen apart.
Do you think that he, just say, like, if you wanted to get an abortion, do you think he would have let you, or would he have made you had the baby?
At 14, I don't know. That's an excellent question that I don't know the answer to.
Gotcha.
You know, like if he would have, if I would have come to him or my mom, I probably would have gone to I guess I would have gone to my mom first. would they have suggested an abortion for it not to go to the church and no one knows but us three? I guess and the baby daddy. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so.
You don't think he would let you get one? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I think he would have not minded if I had the baby and he was just,
Right.
We'll work through it together. Yeah.
But I'm saying, I guess more or less like from the sense of, because I'm sure he's probably like I don't see him as the person who would necessarily like make you get an abortion, I guess is what I'm saying.
Not at all.
So with that being said, and this is just your guess because only he can really give us the true answer. But because like once again, if you're 34 and even if you say it's harder to give him the news, he's still not even considering like abortion because there is the grown factor. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
Whether I'm disappointed or whatever, this still isn't my direct problem. As opposed to if my 14-year-old child has a baby, I now have a new baby. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, it's like that's why I was asking. Do you think, your father would be like, like if you wanted to have an abortion, would he just say, support you in your decision, or would he be like, no? You know what I'm saying? Like, God don't make no mistakes type thing, whatever.
I really don't.
Yeah.
I really don't know. Like I said, that's a hard one to answer. I really don't know.
For sure.
Yep, no. I don't know.
Miss Rowland?
So, I think my situation, similar to Kellie's, but different. Because if I had a kid at 14, my brother would have been 3. And so when you talk about, if a baby having a baby, it's like your parents having another kid. For my parents, I would be having a 3-year-old and a brand new baby. And that dynamic, definitely would probably put a lot onto the family just because they're 2 young kids. My dad was a pastor, and then especially with DJ, because y'all know DJ had a very dramatic entrance. He knows I'm joking with him, but he did have a very dramatic entrance. And so my mom wasn't working for a period because like she almost died, that whole piece.
Right.
So, I just think just logically and realistically, it would have been a lot for my family if that was the situation. But one thing my mom says to this day, whenever we talk about stuff, she says, I trust God. And I'm trying to get on her level of I trust God because some of the stuff my parents deal with, y'all as PKs, I'm sure y'all's parents deal with some heavy stuff. To hear her literally say that over and over, I trust God, I trust God. I feel like that's how she would handle this. Like, if I was pregnant and had the baby, I feel like, it would be another Rowland kid in the house. That's just how it would be. So that's all I got.
Would you have been afraid, just say, of like, the criticism from church people and all that stuff?
Absolutely, because I already felt misunderstood at 14 to begin with. And misunderstood on like the most basic things. I think a lot of times during the transition from New Beginning to New Piney Grove, that happened when I was 11, around that time, 11, 12. So I didn't want to go. I wanted to be with my friends. I did a lot of stuff lashing out, acting out that was, instead of being interpreted as, this kid misses her friends and what she knew and she didn't ask for this, it was interpreted as a whole different thing. So I could only imagine if I got pregnant, the narrative that would have been spun to go in conjunction with whatever this other narrative.
Right.
And it probably would have been really detrimental to me because, church hurt is a thing. It's a real thing. And you know, my father, like Kellie's father, does preach no sex before marriage. Mm-hmm. So I can only imagine as a pastor, you know, preaching that message week after week, year after year, month after month, or whatever, and then your child get pregnant. It's just a lot to unpack. And I'm kind of speaking also from my own family's personal experience. It wasn't, you know, as young, but the same emotions are tied to it. Mm-hmm. So I know it's the disappointment is real for them, but also the disappointment is heavy on the individual who's going through it. So it's just a lot, and it can really break you if you don't have a good support system, you know, backing you, because especially in today's world, and I think that's something else that might have been helpful for Sarah Jakes Roberts in her situation. Social media wasn't what it was then, what it is now, because, you know, there are comments people say about us to this day that we'll never know, right? Because they say it, you know, say it to their friend or to their cousin or whoever, right? In today's world, you can say it to somebody's face and or their social media face, right? And it can be, you know, more detrimental, more hurtful if you're seeing those type of comments every day. For sure. So that was a lot. Mm-hmm.
No, that's real. That's real. Mm-hmm. Well, for me personally, this did happen. So, oh. I mean, I was 16. But for me, I mean, I'm in a very different situation. You know what I'm saying? Because I was thinking about it while y'all were talking, like, and I never really thought about it before, but my dad being a pastor or church people or anything, like, never crossed my mind when it came down to that whole situation. Like, until this very conversation. Like, I just realized that I never even considered that. Mm-hmm. My dad was definitely like, he wasn't just he's been a preacher my whole life. He's been an elder my whole life, but during this particular time, he was already pastor. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I never considered it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that makes me fucked up. Like, I don't know. I'm really having a realization. I never considered that. Because for me, I mean, I told him first, you know what I'm saying? Because between him and my mom, I mean, you know, like, I already knew she was going to flip, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to call him first. And plus, I mean, he's dealt with this. He had, you know, a daughter, I guess technically right out of high school. So, like, him and my oldest sister's mom, like, she was a senior and he graduated and became a freshman in college. By the time my oldest sister was born. Mm-hmm. And then he had my middle sister somewhere in college as well during this college period. So I'm saying that to say he's, especially on the first go round or whatever, like, he's dealt with having to have this conversation, mm-hmm. you know, with his mom or whatever the case may be. So the point I'm bringing up is that's why I went to him first, because I'm not only telling him first because I know he's not going to necessarily flip out, but I also know that he could probably help me talk to my mom.
Right.
Because once again, she was literally the only person I was worried about. Like, I wasn't even worried about the kid. Like, if the kid would, because I mean, she had a miscarriage, so I mean, obviously I don't have any kid. But
you got a 16-year-old running around here we don't know about.
My god cousin.
Oh,
right. Nephew, niece, god niece, nephew.
No. That it never happened. But the conversation though, I definitely was like, I mean, I ain't gonna say I was terrified, but I knew it's not like I didn't know what was gonna happen. Like, I was trying to worry about, like, I wonder if she's gonna be cool or if she's not. Like, I was just wondering. Exactly.
So how did your mom respond? So your dad, I'm guessing, was. So how did they respond?
So this is what's hilarious.
Okay.
I called my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I say, Dad, so and so pregnant. The first thing he came out of his mouth and said, "You talked to your mom?" That's the first thing he said. Did you talk to your mom? So after I was like, nah, I called you first, whatever. And then we had the conversation. Like, you gotta call your mom, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So then I called my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I told her, first thing came out of her mouth was, you still going to college.
Okay.
First thing.
That sounds like Miss Larnell.
First thing came out of her mouth.
That sounds like Miss Larnell.
And I guess, but see, to now my credit, I think low key, to give myself some credit back.
Okay.
They never brought up the whole pastor thing or whatever either. You know what I'm saying? Or church or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I wasn't necessarily thinking about it. And I guess because I just see my parents as my parents. You know what I'm saying? And then also like, I don't know. I've never had like my dad's never been like no famous pastor or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like the people who there's plenty of people who know him, but if they know him, they either know him from high school back in the day, Tampa, whatever, or from being at the church. And if they at the church, it ain't. I mean, I can see him. I can meet him right here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He ain't got no social media presence, no TV presence, no whatever. Like he, you know what I'm saying? Nobody. He ain't traveling all over the world preaching. Like, so for me, I guess I just never, and I never thought about all the things that he didn't do as a preacher. I'm just saying, like, I just never considered his position when it came down to anything that I did, honestly. Like, I was like, I definitely hated when I felt like I disappointed my parents, but it was because they were my parents. You know, it was never a like church thing for me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm bringing up all of that to say I feel like I may have had a different experience if my dad was TD Jakes. You know what I'm saying? Or at least on the TD Jakes level. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I would have thought about it more. If I knew that, there was a bunch of like judgmental niggas in suits that checked on him, once a quarter to make sure, they was gonna still fund his church or whatever. Maybe I would consider. And I'm not saying that happened to TD Jakes. I'm just saying in general. Like if that was his reality, maybe I would consider it more. You know what I'm saying? But my dad went to work for and pastor and played video games. Like so, I never really looked at it. Nothing past that. That's my long spiel. I'm sorry.
Gotcha. Oh no, that was good. And I was gonna say, like, I think for me, being a pastor's kid or a preacher's kid was just ingrained in me from, as long as I can remember. Right. 4 or 5, when I first memories, my father was a preacher. Right. And so, right, like you said, I think most kids that have respect for their parents don't want to disappoint their parents. Right. Like you said, so I think that's normal. I think that's typical. I think, different parents have different views on their children having sex at young ages. Like I know, some parents feel like, oh, I don't mind if my son has, sex as a teenager, but my daughter can't, and I'm like, well, then who your son having sex with? Somebody's daughter. And so,
but it ain't my daughter, so I was
I know dads have, like you said, different views. But like I said, I very much being a preacher's kid. And I don't even know if I realized until this podcast how much being a preacher's kid is ingrained in me. Right. In who I am. I don't think I really, I always knew I was a preacher's kid, but I didn't really think about what that really meant for me until we started having these discussions on the podcast. And I realized how much I was in bondage to what other people thought about me because I felt like I always had to be perfect. Like I said, and this is not new. If you listen to the podcast, I've said this before. Right. You feel like you gonna say something, Janessa?
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say I kind of had something similar happen this week where it was a small tinge of PK moment. I was buying a dress so I'm a planner. So I was buying a dress for Valentine's Day and I was looking at birthday outfits.
I'm a planner. I was wondering why you said you were a planner, but I get like Valentine's. I got you.
Plan ahead, right? And so I was looking at some outfits, and I was like, some of them was a little racy or whatever, but they were cute. Mm-hmm. And the first thing that came to my mind is, one, my mother's going to have something to say, but then two, if I post it, all the church people are going to have something to say. And in my head, I was just like, I had to stop myself because I was like, Janessa, you are 32. You about to be 33. You buying this dress to go on a date with your boyfriend who you've been with for, over a year, known each other for like 2-3, like, why? Like, why is this even taking up any space in your head?
Right.
You're contemplating which dress to buy because of what somebody might or might not say. Mm-hmm. And so I will say, like, I have those moments too where you didn't really know that being a PK really affected you. But what I try to do now is like just kind of work through the moments, like where maybe once upon a time it would have been like completely debilitating and like, oh, I can't. Let me go find a dress that come below my knees and whatever. Like now it's just kind of like, well, right, I don't like it. That's not my fault. Yeah, I know who does like it. I do.
Ooh, I thought you were to say Chris does. I'm about to say,
yeah, on the road.
That's right. Because he was looking at something. He does. He was looking at him, and he was like, "You look good in any of these dresses." I was like, "That's who it's for."
Right, honey. For Valentine's Day, for you. But no, and I. So I've struggled with, I'm struggling with opening my Instagram page. Mm-hmm. And I am, I am a part of it, so I've been in the gym, I've been working, I've been, or whatever. And I am probably, so this story sticks out in my mind. The story of, I can't even remember how old you were, Rudy, but I know it was 10 plus years ago. And the lady in the choir with the tight dress on. You remember what I'm talking about? The lady who had the tight dress on in the choir that you were looking at? Or the
story that I told you.
Yeah. Right. I think about that all the time because I'm like, man, I want to be that bad in a dress where a man remember 10, 15 years later like that. I saw this woman in this dress. Maybe not at church.
You got me thinking about that thing 10, 12 years ago.
Listen.
Lord have mercy.
They still talk about me in that dress. That's what I'm trying to get to this year, y'all. That's what I'm trying to get to this year. But to post something like that sexy, like you said, she wasn't naked, she had on clothes and, or whatever. So
her dress came down past her calves.
Right, past the calves. And it's sometimes a long sleeve with a turtleneck. But it hugged in every spot. And I love a good dress like that. If I'm honest with y'all, like I said, I worked on one. The Lord has blessed me with some things, and then I had to work on some others. Come on, so I want I want that dress. I want that picture on Instagram where all my old boyfriends are like, "Dang, look at Kellie." But the fear of not even, and I think I'm somewhat past church folks, but the fear is my daddy seeing it and like, why does Kellie got on this little bitty dress? It's still like,
I think if he asks you, then you should tell him this exact answer you just told us. Not right. This is what you've been working for.
This is what I've been working for. And Rudy remember a woman in the church choir 15 years, right? And I aspire to be her.
I don't even know if she can sing.
I think about that all the time. I'm like, man, this man remember 10, 15 years later, some chick he don't even know. Not his ex-girlfriend put on this, you know what I'm saying? Not
and she wasn't a chick. Like she was like when I say she, like I felt like she was grown compared to me because like at the time I may have been like 21. I felt like, I don't know how old she was, but to me I felt like she was at least in her early 30s. And as a 21-year-old, that felt like an adult. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like she was like grown. I would have never tried to like approach her and like,
right.
my shot. Like I was intimidated. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like it wasn't even
Right. So, but yeah, like I said, but I still have that fear of, like I said, church people say something sometimes, like Janessa said, like it is what it is. You gonna feel how you want to feel, whatever. But my daddy,
Right.
and not even necessarily, like you said earlier, Rudy, not even necessarily because he's a pastor, but it's because he's my daddy, and because he's a pastor, he looks at things through a different lens.
Right.
I don't, but I want to be out here half naked. Summertime coming, honey. Now I don't really agree with the shorts with your booty hanging out, but with your little cheeks hanging out at the bottom, that's a little much, But but they can stop right below the cheek, and get all this good leg, that I didn't squat.
But that's what I'm saying. But I don't understand. I don't understand the problem though. I don't understand
because I can't let because
I'm saying I'm saying I get if there was a skirt that was that high, but I'm saying shorts. If you have on shorts that your whole behind and everything is covered, the only thing that's out is your legs. I honestly do not see.
I remember growing up, my dad used to take me to get clothes. He would buy me stuff 2-3 sizes too big. On purpose.
And this is what age?
Early teenage, elementary school.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Right. So even as a child, he wanted to cover my body. As an adult, he don't want to see his child with no short pants on.
Do he follow you on social media?
No, but I'm private.
But that's what I'm saying. Okay, so you can post it on social media, or you can wear it. It ain't like you wear it in front of him. If you wear it out somewhere, he's not gonna be there. You know what I'm saying?
But like I said, but that's a part of my struggle. I think I've processed and I worked through church folks. It took me a minute, but I'm processing and I'm working through. Y'all say what y'all want to say. Y'all do what y'all want to do. If I post an alcoholic drink or what I'm saying, whatever. And Janessa reminded me that I'm not on Instagram wilding out. And so I post a drink every now and then. Y'all feel how y'all want to feel because I don't care about y'all know what I drink.
Yeah.
Whatever. But clothes, I don't. That's still a struggle for me.
I feel like this is equivalent to if there was a bunch of hospital patients, right, in the hospital, and they all got different sicknesses, right? But they would like if one of them posted on Instagram, like, about their sickness or whatever like that, them worried about what the other one's gonna say who are also sick. Do you get what I'm saying? Like when you're in church, when you're a part of a church, remember, it don't matter what position you are, whether you're preaching, playing the instrument, you preacher's kid, you're just a regular Joe that just come. Like everybody is in there because they're sick. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean that metaphorically. Like you live in a sinful nature.
Right.
Everybody.
Right.
Because if you weren't, then there would be no point of going. You don't need to be there if you're good. So what I'm saying is, all it is, whoever says anything, it's just a bunch of people with their own ailments talking about the people who are showing their ailments publicly.
I see your mini sermon.
No, it's not a sermon. It's not a sermon.
It sounds like an analogy in
I guess because what I'm saying is because people feel like the perspective is once you're in church, now you're perfect, and that's not, and that's
true.
And that's not accurate. Like you're there because you are flawed. You know what I'm saying? It's you're not there because and not that the clothes is a flaw. I'm just saying with anything. Like if you're doing anything sinful, we all are. You feel what I'm saying? So people are gonna talk. This is not, so you might as well give them something to talk about.
And like I said, and I really worked through in this last year and a couple of months of this podcast. I've definitely worked through not caring what church people think anymore. For sure. Like I said, but still, like I said, something about my dad, him being a pastor, not a pastor, just being a daddy's girl, just like, no, I don't want him to see me that way.
At some point, you got to be grown.
Very true. Very true. Like I said, I'm still gonna put on the dress and wear it out. I just may not post it on Instagram.
I mean, that's bad too. But I just feel like, I don't know, man.
Y'all gonna see me. I'm gonna post it on the worst ones page just because.
I feel like everybody should just be free, man. I don't feel like nobody should live with the restrictions of what somebody else thinks. And I'm saying this as a person whose livelihood depends on what people think. If people think I'm funny or not. You feel what I'm saying? So like it's all about opinions, but I'm saying like when it comes down to like your personal life, like I don't give a damn if y'all showed up next episode, you got just a light blue stripe going through your whole head. I don't care, and you like, yo, this for the worst ones. Like I'm feeling the light blue stripe, and we just roast you, whatever case it be. I think you shouldn't change it just because we didn't, you know what I'm saying? We had something to say. Who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what you want to do.
I'm with you.
So I'm saying, even when it comes down to your dad, I'm saying like I get the whole parent thing, but even that, and that's something that was a battle I had to cross when it come down to the whole comedy. When I first started comedy, I was scared to go online or whatever. First, it started with the people who, I mean, not even just church people who just knew I was preaching or whatever in the first place. But then definitely I knew my mom or somebody else or whatever was going to say something. My dad ain't saying nothing to this day. But the point I'm making is I didn't just jump straight from preaching to smoking on camera. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a whole
journey.
There was a whole journey of, but as somebody who is on the other side, just say of the journey, I can tell you that it's way easier when you just, once again, you be brutally honest with yourself, accept who you truly are. And once you do that, everybody else will have to accept it, whether they agree with it or not. And you'll be okay with that.
No, I hear you, and I receive that, and I definitely feel like we talked about earlier, that I'm on that journey. That there was a lot of things that I just didn't, I didn't realize, that tied me down, or or I thought about too much or whatever, until the conversations that we've had here, and so I'm definitely further along January 2020 than I was November, December. No, 2022.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, when did we start? 2020? Was that 2020?
I think the end of 2020.
Yeah, November, December 2020. When we started. So definitely on that journey. Definitely what I'm trying to work towards. For sure. It's just not caring.
Gotcha.
And I can see it better now, like I said, than I could before. For sure. So I appreciate this podcast and you all, and my own journey.
Yeah, man. People could definitely come here and be free. Like, listen, we at you. We don't give a fuck. Janessa, did you have anything before we closed out? Gotcha. Okay. I'm not gonna force you to, talk.
I do hope we can one day do a photo shoot. And
let's do it.
What do you mean hope?
Be cute and post it.
Y'all gotta come to Florida anyway. So
let's do it, honey.
We can all meet up in Tampa.
Let's do it.
Gotcha. All right. Church announcement.
All right. Follow us at The Worst Ones PK on Instagram. Again, we'll have some fun things on a monthly, bi-weekly, weekly basis. Check out the dance off between Rudy and Janessa. Bolden is closed, but you could still go and watch the post. Good times. Make sure that when you're there, like I said, follow us, comment, like, subscribe. No, you can't subscribe there, but like, DM.
You're supposed to do this first.
I know it.
Okay.
And then if you want to watch us, listen to us, please do. YouTube is where you can watch us and see us and hear us and do it all at one time. We're such attractive people, so I know you want to come over and see our faces. But if you at work, you in the car, you just got it on in the background somewhere, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find your podcast for both YouTube and just podcast, The Worst Ones podcast is where you can find us. And then when you get there, like, comment, subscribe, and share. As always, thank you to our 100,500,000 followers.
All right.
We appreciate you. Janessa probably brings us most of our followers, so thank you to all of Janessa's friends, family, and family.
I don't even know who from my crew has joined the team.
Janessa fans are deep in the worst ones Instagram. So we appreciate you, Janessa, for pulling your weight in terms of bringing people to us. Because they love you, girl. You bringing them. We got a couple from you, Rudy. Thanks. Personal page at Princess Kels 51. At some point, honey, it's gonna be open. We believe in it. So just keep trying. One day you may just see me pop up in your news feed. Is that what it's called? I don't know. Sure. Anyway.
Oh, me. You can find me at Melanated Brews for all things coffee, tea, and beer. This past weekend, I went down to Albany, Georgia, to visit some of Chris's family members, and we, of course, had to stop for coffee. So this week on Melanated Brews, you can find Elements Coffee Company for some good stuff. And you can find my personal page at JRihanna _. And that's it.
No, I just said double _.
Double _. Mm-hmm. Somebody tried to take my name, but you know.
You only do one underscore, you ain't gonna find it. Shout out Terry Wayne in his absence. You can find him at Terry Wayne Comedy. He's probably still talking about the vaccine. And then for myself, at Rudy of All Trades is my personal page, just like Jack of All Trades, except Rudy, RUDY. And then at the podcast official page is the other podcast that I do or host once a month. She's killing bugs. Once a month, the last Monday of every month, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's on Zoom. We invite you to come and join the conversation. 815. This is my my announcement voice. 815-499-0955. Amen.
Amen.
That is all that we have. This was a good conversation. We ran a little long, but you know, it worked out.
Out in the beginning. You can cut some of me out in the beginning. I was just rambling. Edit me out.
I take back everything I said. The trainer, everything. Listen to that.
Edit out my intro.
She may watch this. I don't want to fight.
I was gonna, and I'm not even a fighter, but I was gonna fight today.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Joke's over. Y'all, we appreciate y'all. Two's in the air, guys. We out.
Top of the world.